What a remarkable match to end a stunning series. The Final Word Daily, Adam Collins and Daniel Norcross with you. For Noobru, the think, drink, Daniel, sum up. Well, there were 32 runs, there were 4 wickets, there was 56 minutes of cricket, 30 seconds. Take your time, enjoy it, embrace it.
Well, England managed to lose the unwinnable and unlosable Test match both at the same time. They came out all guns blazing, 4 off the first ball, 4 off the second ball. A totally different approach from the timid, desperate one that we saw last night before the players were taken off. And then it was the Mohammed Siraj show. What an unbelievable champion that man is. He picked up 5 wickets. He took the final wicket. There was pandemonium, there was mayhem. In between times, there was some of the most scratchy, petrified cricket I've ever seen in my life, but it was thrilling. It was one of the tightest finishes ever. It's India's lowest margin of win by runs.
Yep.
It made sure that India finally won this series by 2 matches to 2.
Yes, they share the Anderson.
Does one get the Anderson bet and the other get the Tendulkar? But it should be the other way around, shouldn't it? England should get the Tendulkar.
Yes.
India get the Anderson, and then they can develop a great fondness and respect for each other.
Well, you know where it's going, regardless of who wants
Dubai?
It's going to Lords.
Oh, it's going to Lords, yeah.
It's quite
Of
funny.
course it's going to Lords.
Anyway, let's reflect on the 56 minutes that was. First things first, that's, mindful of recency bias, but that's right up there towards the best Test matches of the 21st century. There are so many different moving parts. The fact that it's a deciding Test match here in London, sold out tests, the 4th innings chase, the massive ask of England needing 374 to win it. The way they got so close yesterday, that massive partnership with Brook and Root. For India to get back in it late yesterday, the unexpected rain delay, coming back on a 5th morning with not much to do for both teams. The way Siraj stepped up today, that is going to be talked about for such a long time. And again, in London, as it was in 2021 at this ground, a victory that was set up by Bumrah and Siraj, and the way they were able to stick the landing here then to, level the series, or go ahead in the series. And it's a bit confusing there because they came back and finished it in 2022. But something about India and close finishes in the capital here in London, and that goes right to the very top. I was privileged to be there at Brisbane in 2021, commentating on that test where they won the Border Gavaskar on the final day, chasing 329. That sits right alongside it, I reckon. And sure, in a year's time or 5 years' time, we might view that differently, but we're allowed to indulge in a morning like this.
No, we're never forgetting this Test match. It was absolutely sensational. I mean, there's so many things you've got to unpick here, but I'm thinking Prasidh Krishna. We're not giving him the props he deserves. Yep. He picked up 4 really important wickets. And you remember, his role was to bang it in short and get absolutely marmalised by Jamie Smith earlier on in this series, a role that isn't really suited to him. And he's come back so well. Siraj, we've talked about. Akash Deep, he came into the series, was awesome at Edgbaston.
Yep.
He was defeated in the end. He couldn't bowl today. So India were down to 2 bowlers. And you'd say that should have been enough, but it might not have been. If England had left some of those balls outside the off stump, then how deep could they have taken those 2 bowlers? Well, I don't know, because I'm not sure that Siraj was ever going to stop bowling, or Prasidh Krishna was ever going to stop bowling. The heart, the fight they had was amazing. And then look back at this Test match and look back to the first Test match, and you've got first Test match, which India, they lost the unlosable Test match by dropping a whole bunch of catches. England did the same thing, only this time they didn't quite stick the landing of the 374, which would have been, let's make no bones about it, that's a massive run chase to get, especially when you're down to 10 men. But we also had the incredible sight of El Cid coming out, not quite on his horse, but effectively dead. And we're going to come to his bravery shortly. Yerry didn't face a ball, but he had to run. Colin Cowdrey could sit down behind the non-striker's end and just sit down on his arse if he felt like it. His relatively capacious arse at that. Whereas Chris Woakes had to run. That was the only way it was going to work. Gus Atkinson suddenly hitting that incredible 6 that changed the equation. And you're starting to think, oh my God, he could actually win this or tie it in 2 blows. Were we going to get the tie? There was so much going on. And there was some fried brains. I mean, Shubman Gill has got away with it there. There's some captaincy we're going to talk about. But ultimately, when you reflect on this as a series, it would have been, frankly, silly if England had won 3-1. There was a similar series in 2018, wasn't there, when actually India played really well and came off 3-1. And it shouldn't have been 3-1. This one, I think, just redresses the balance. I'm not going to say that India deserved to win the series because, England played some unbelievably good cricket at points. The depth of each side's bowling attacks was amazing. When you think we've come to this final Test match, Gus Atkinson's playing in his first game, really rusty, takes 8 wickets in it. Josh Tongue, left out for 2 games, comes back, looks rusty, but bowls unbelievable balls, takes for 5 for, bowls mega balls. And then similarly for India, there's no Bumrah. It's all down to Siraj and Krishna, really, and they just get over the line. This is a game in a context that was brilliant, but actually just on its own was so fantastic to be here. And the final point I want to make about its brilliance is that I genuinely did not think that the people who had bought this 5th day ticket in large part were going to turn up. I kind of figured that, like lots of Englishmen and indeed lots of Indians, were going to go, do you know what, this could be over in 20 minutes. Yep. And it nearly was when England hit 2 fours off the first 2 balls. I thought, surely they're just going to stay home and watch it on the telly. It's cold, it's breezy. Not a bit of it. This place was jam-packed. And I was downstairs. I was commentating for 5 Live, so we were outside with the crowd. It was spine-tingling. I mean, it was actually quite hard to commentate because there was almost tears welling in your eyes. Because, Test cricket almost becomes like your fond child, doesn't it? So you care about this thing so much more than you care about almost anything else. And to see it thrive here in that fashion and to pull off that kind of a result, it was like kind of the best thing, and makes you happy to be alive.
Yeah, it was love letter to Test cricket stuff. I picked up a social media post. Daniel Paproth, one of our long-term friends, and used to work with Jeff and me on White Line Wireless back in the day. Last day of a 5-match series, level at 2-1, England at home, India underdogs, pounced in this game, then pull it back. Bloke batting bravely with a broken shoulder. India managed to tie the series at 2-2 after all of England's superiority complex. It's his editorialising there, but we'll push on. And they want to say Test cricket is secondary to T20. Doesn't get any better than that. I know that.
Well, Virat said it himself.
When we see lopsided Test matches, sometimes there can be an alternative view around T20, and it's not about the competition of the formats, but sometimes we can feel that existential angst. And that 32-ball partnership between Atkinson and Woakes only added 10 runs. I was drawn to...
Was it 32 balls?
Yeah.
And he faced all of them.
And I was drawn to posting, Hurst and Rhodes will do it in singles when he popped that one over deep mid-wicket. And he tried to do it every subsequent ball that he faced, seemingly Atkinson there, and rightly so. That was the right thing to do. But the way that it came together, moments like that, you talk about the crowd, right? I had reason to go back and watch the Cook last day in Test cricket here, penultimate day in Test cricket for him, but his last innings, his 100 here against India in 2018. There were 18,000 people at the Oval that day. A lot of people, but it wasn't sold out. And it wasn't, it was a magnificent atmosphere, but it wasn't sold out. Today, I would wager there were more people in to watch that. It was more akin to Thompson and Border and Tavares and Miller and Botham and what happened at Melbourne in 1982. Similarly gloomy conditions than there was at Melbourne that day as well. So, I know people were frustrated the Test didn't end last night. I sympathise with what you were saying on the podcast last night, but coming back when a number of results are in play for a brief passage of cricket, that is part of the charm of overnight. It's part of that joy of overnight, meaning that you can suppose what might happen the next day. You've got all these hours to dwell and consider, and that's what made today even more special than what might have played out at 6:30 last night.
Well, I might have got it a little wrong yesterday. I don't know that I did. For the crowd that were here, it was so frustrating. But my assumption was that we were going to come back and there might be 7,000 or 8,000, mostly Indian fans turning up, and that would be it. But not a bit of it.
No.
They all the guys who had the tickets, they all turned up. There was hardly a single empty seat, and I guess that's where I've got to hold my hand up and say, do you know what? It meant we got another crowd. So more people got to
for 25 quid as well, by far the most affordable day of the Test.
£1 for juniors.
£1 for juniors. Imagine that value saying in 20 years' time.
Oh God! If you're 11 years old, you came to this today.
Imagine you're a young Indian fan. Say you're 10 or 11 years old. I saw something on Instagram popped up last night from the first day of international cricket I saw in 1989 and being at the MCG on Boxing Day. Imagine if there's some 5 or 6-year-old Indian fan who can say they were there the day Mohammed Siraj did that.
Oh, they're never going to forget this
Never,
day.
ever.
And because the atmosphere was astounding, but the drama was also astounding, and it had everything. So, if it's possible to have ebb and flow in 50-odd minutes of play, we had ebb and flow.
We did.
How'd you get ebb and flow in that time?
Well, I think we should there's probably room here. It'll be a shorter podcast, although it's you and me. Maybe we'll talk for 40 minutes.
I want to drink.
A little bit of the rhythm of it all. Maybe we'll start with the England batting. Then we'll move to Shubman Gill kind of having a little bit of a brain explosion.
Didn't he?
Kind of having a little bit of a brain explosion. And Mohammed Siraj going, fuck it, I'll do it anyway.
Yeah.
Let's start with, like, you and I watch a lot of Jamie Smith.
Yeah.
We commentate here at Surrey.
He's brilliant.
He is a terrific cricketer, got a wonderful technique, sort of a bankable sort of disposition at the crease as well. That might be his worst innings in professional cricket. I don't quite know why. I suppose he's just knackered at the stage of a 5-test series.
Well, look, he is wicket kept for longer than any other human being in a test series, right? Because his batters go a little bit faster than the Indian batters. Not a lot faster, to be honest. The two sides go fairly quick, but England bowled a sizable number more overs than India, and he was in the field for the entirety of it. I mean, Rishabh Pant broke his foot, so he didn't actually have to wicket keep for basically 2 games. Jamie did all 5. And I think also, though, it's not just about exhaustion. There's the mental side of it. I don't think he's ever been in a situation like that. Hardly anybody has. Now, what you saw from him, and actually from Jamie Overton as well, their feet just couldn't move. When Atkinson first started his innings, the feet were just stuck like they had been cemented into the ground. And that's not Jamie Smith. Jamie Smith gets into the ball. He manages to drive balls on the up. He was wafting helplessly. And this is not a reflection of who he is as a batter. This was a reflection of 25,000 people, the series on the line, the culmination of 25 days of Test cricket. But also, you've got to hand it to the Indians for creating that. Because what they saw when he came out is, don't bowl it straight. He's not the nip-backer merchant. You're not trying to get him out LBW. They saw his feet weren't moving, and Siraj just left it out there. Ball after ball after ball, because Smith was just, lurching, groping for the ball.
I do wonder whether there was an instruction there, because England did not leave balls this morning. Like the bat on ball thing, I know we kind of play around with it with Duckett.
Why didn't they? They could have kept them out in the field for longer. Eventually, someone had to break.
It felt like there must have been an instruction. Of course, they've scored 2 boundaries to start the day, which might inform that to a certain extent. But Smith wasn't looking to get into things the way you might if you were, starting an innings from scratch on morning 1. He was looking for that keeping scoreboard pressure bat on ball, which ultimately was his downfall, nicking off. And what a response from the Indian crowd, and indeed Siraj. Like, that was the belief bit. And we've seen that with Siraj before. He leads by example. I put it on social media. He was carrying the team on his back. That second wicket the leg before as well, where he pins Overton in front. That is
so tight, that one.
It's tight as, but boy, it's a moment. And the way they respond, because the first time as well, it had to go to the third umpire as to whether Smith had edged it, right? They sent that upstairs. So there were a number of moments early on where all eyes were trained on that brand new, magnificent big screen over in front of the Loch Laker. But he kept going and going. And you know what? I said I was going to do Gill first. Let's finish on Siraj. Ben Jones has just piled up over here. He's been co-hosting the show throughout. I think it's one of his stats. Siraj's ball to finish the Test match to castle Gus Atkinson was the 5th fastest ball he bowled in the series. The guy was bending his back.
Fifth fastest
ball he bowled in the series to finish it. This guy is indefatigable. This guy is relentless. This guy bowls with a heart the size of Farlap. If you're building a cricket team, every cricket team wants a Mohammed Siraj there. We've been long on him since the start, Jeff and I. I was there at his Test debut at Melbourne back in 2020. I banged on about the fact that he'd taken 70 wickets for India A. They were the halcyon days of A tours where Siraj came through, playing all around the world. He was purpose-built for Test cricket. I remember him watching him play in an IPL game early on where he bowled 4 wides in the last over and shat the bed. He's never shat the bed since. He stood up for India at the Gabba back in 2021, here in London over at Lord's in 2021 as well. A number of times between times, seldom required at home because all the spinners do most of the work. But boy, in these surfaces, he's not perfect. It doesn't always work out that way, but when he gets on a roll, is there a more watchable cricketer in the world than Mohammed Siraj? It was scintillating stuff today. I'm absolutely chuffed for him.
But also, he bowls better without Bumrah. And part of that is because he'll get choice of ends, I guess. But part of it is because he knows he's got to step up. I mean, in this game, a must-win game for India, he bowled 30.2 overs in that innings. There were only about 83 overs in the innings. I mean, it's unbelievable what he did. And for that to be the 5th Test of the series, England's bowlers also toiled, but they were 3 kind of fresh bowlers. And all 3 of them, Tongue hadn't played for 2 games, and the other 2 were playing their first match. So they did have fresh legs. They were rusty, but fresh legs. Siraj, I don't know what's in his legs. It's unbelievable.
Steel sprigs.
Oh, steel sprigs. How fast are you going to run?
Like a leopard. What are they going to do? They're going to hurl you down the track.
Let's see you do it then.
Let's see you doing it.
Anyway,
the poor old Mark Lee at the end there. The iconic scene of Gallipoli, if you're watching and not
Gallipoli.
seeing it. Peter Weir, 1981. Go and get it off
Bloody
YouTube.
great film. Anyway.
Where your great-grandfather shot himself in the shoulder to get out of it.
Correct. And very successfully, I should add. I come from a long line of cowards, which is not what Mohammed Siraj is, and indeed Chris Woakes. We'll talk about him shortly. But we mentioned Shubman Gill. And Shubman Gill, at one point, just lost it. Because what had happened is that India had become favourites from not being favourites. He started the day.
Yeah. England
were like 80% on win viz, something like that. India 19%. Because they had 4 wickets in hand, but we knew it was basically 3. Because, well, it's not 3, because Woakes could come out. So runs could be scored, but not very many. And if he was going to get on strike, he was going to be out. So with 2 batters in there who could bat, with Overton and Smith, England were favourites. Then they lose that couple of wickets. The tables are turned. Tongue then gets out to a beauty. Full ball from us, Prasad Krishna. Yep. And
also that was well set up too, because he went back of a length, moving it away. Then in ducker.
Yeah.
It was the classic 3-card trick.
But now India are firm favourites because you've got Woakes walking out. He's going to bat left-handed, but with one hand. So he's got his left arm in a sling underneath his jumper, and he's going to, if he has to bat, he's going to bat with just a one arm.
I kind of imagine it like table tennis.
Kind of.
Because, of course, a lavish backhand in normal tennis maybe, but, sort of ping-pong stuff, like get behind it and try and...
But he hasn't got a chance if it's full, and he hasn't really got a chance. If it's short, he can just let it hit him and wince in terrible agony. So at that point, they're on top. Gus recognises this is an issue, so he smites this incredible 6, which should possibly have been caught by... was it Akash Deep out there, I think? Yeah. Because he was a couple of yards inside the boundary. If he hadn't caught that, and he didn't catch it. But had England won, there would have been possible inquests on that, the fine margins between be hated on and not. So now the equation's changed. And what he's looking to do, Shubman, is go, oh shit, we've got to stop him getting 6s. Everybody's out on the boundary. But Atkinson's spoken to Woakes and said, right, last ball of the over, because he wasn't able to get off strike, last ball of the over, we're going to run the bye. Perfectly legitimate.
Yeah.
Woakes isn't really running. He's shufflingly waddling as fast as he can. Dhruv Jurel's got all 3 stumps to aim at, misses. Should have hit him. Woakes would have been out.
Kept the glove on.
Yeah, daft.
Interesting. They knew they were coming, right? Let's just go through. They knew they were coming. There was no way in the world they were going to try to do anything other than get through for a single. You often see a keeper take that with one hand and have the right hand ready to throw, and Jurel had both gloves on. That's kind of a T20 thing, I suppose. You're not automatically attuned to that, but it's worth noting on the way through.
But it was nicely bowled because it was deliberately wide and really hard for Atkinson to hit. Then let's go to the over that Prasad Krishna's bowling. He's got everybody out on the boundary. And then Shubman Gill's left everybody out on the boundary again for the 6th ball. Now, there's no need for this because this is now with them needing
11.
10.
It was 11 to win.
11 at that point, was it?
And the way I was viewing it was that I think maybe it was 10 for the Atkinson.
I think it was 10 for that
one. But either way, in both scenarios, both times it happened, my thinking was, and I'm interested in your thoughts, even in the scenario, I think when they were 11 especially, even in this scenario upon where Atkinson hits a 6 from that ball, if you've got 5 to win and Woakes facing and 6 balls at a guy who's holding the bat with one hand, the dice is stacked wildly in your favour. So,
massively in your favour. What you're going to do is get
the man on strike.
Get it straight.
This is what I couldn't understand. I mean, obviously, the ends justify the means and they win anyway. But it's a wrinkle in all this.
But let's get to this one because this was so baffling. Prasad Krishna then bowls a full straight ball at Atkinson with 9 fielders on the boundary. Atkinson couldn't believe his luck.
Yeah.
He just had to tap it into the onside, and then Woakes didn't even need to shuffle waddle. He could basically walk to the other end. And you're just thinking, now Shubman's brain's fried. Everybody's brain's fried.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. The skippers don't know what's going on. The only man who's looked cool at this point was Atkinson. Atkinson had suddenly got to this place where he knew what he was supposed to do. And when it got down to 7 needed, that was when he was focused solely on the 6 to tie, because the tie would obviously mean that England couldn't lose a series, and that's the objective here. Winning is secondary to that. And that's when he was undone by a beautiful ball. I mean, I don't know how anybody thinks he could have hit that ball for 6 really comfortably. There was everybody out in the boundary. It was a low full toss, on off stump. Perfect delivery for the moment, especially when you know you've got a guy who's swinging. And then unleashed pandemonium. It was... I mean, I'm still tingling from it now. It was absolutely amazing. And I got to shout, bowled him at the top of my voice on radio.
Oh, what a great moment to call. Just on that, Jeff wanted me to note that Atkinson would have, had he hit a 6 that ball that he knocks for 1. I mean, my counter to that is that you're not you're not, your brain isn't, you're not. It's a bit like Stokes in the 2019 World Cup final where he's not thinking about swatting that ball for 6 because of the game situation. So, but just noting there that actually was that straight ball from Krishna is the ball that had it come in deliveries 1 through 5, Atkinson would have been well placed to have boshed it over the leg side and maybe cleared the ropes. Who's to know? That's one of those things. But to his credit, Krishna did keep it wide enough outside the off stump from the previous deliveries that Atkinson couldn't access it and drag it over, and they went into the keeper's glove. So that's the way it works when you're 9 down and you're protecting a player. But the very fact that Woakes came out to bat.
Unbelievable.
Let's just deal with that for a bit here. It was special in its own way. There have been a number of instances where batters have, famously walked down steps before. I love the fact that Mike Atherton on Sky had it on the earpiece, noted that Cowdrey was only ever, and you have already, going to be stood at the non-strikers end with 2 balls left in the test against the
That's
Windies
not bravery.
in 1963.
That's not bravery. If he hasn't done it, he should quite frankly been put up against the wall and shot.
There you go. Whereas Lions, on the other hand, in a game that Australia won by 40-odd runs, a 20-odd run partnership was stuck, did have a major effect on Australia winning it. And Woakes today, it's easily a scenario where he has to face out balls and risk further damage. And not just that, but also, like, if you're holding the bat with one hand and someone bowls a bumper at your lid,
that's Shoaib Bashir. Shoaib Bashir in this series, there's only 7-odd runs he added, but he did. And he went out to field so that he could bowl.
That's right.
And he ends up taking the winning wicket.
It's all gutsy stuff.
Rishabh Pant, the gutsiest of the lot until today, because he's coming out there on a broken foot.
With the maiming at his foot, rightly so, and fair enough as well.
Desperately trying to cling on for the draw. In the end, it was the pitch defeated them so much. Had he known it was going to flatten out that much, he probably didn't need to do it. But the fact that he showed willing was incredible. But I think today's trumps it, simply for the fact that, if you've dislocated a shoulder, you don't have the use of all the things you need, because you've got to run, right? So although he didn't face a ball, he had to be alive to the byes. Yeah. He ran a 2 for Christ's sake.
Yeah, which was a great bit of fielding on the road to deny a boundary.
4, but getting back for 2 was bloody hard. Yep. Just putting your bat in, everything that was involved in that was amazing, and there was a very real likelihood that at some point he was going to have to face a ball. And believe you me, I mean, the pain, if you'd been here, you could have seen the pain etched on his face when he ran the first bye. It was almost like he was going to throw up on the pitch.
He was actually a candidate for running up the non-striker there with that first one.
Yeah.
But, fair enough too. He had to give himself every chance, so he really took off like a sprinter.
Fair enough if they'd done it as well, Freddie.
Quite, yeah. Had they run him out there, no dramas whatsoever on that front. Where strident supporters of that on the show would have led towards 5 days of Spirit of Cricket chat, and we would have embraced that as well. But anyway, not to be. But yeah, all of that is part of why I said at the start of the episode that. It feels right now like one of the great test matches of the 21st century, and don't discount Woakes' involvement in that, even though he ends up with naught not out.
Yep.
Woakes is part of that story. Daniel, have we comprehensively covered the 56 minutes yet? I feel like we probably
I think we have. I comprehensively want to cover the 6-minute ground to the Fenton Arms to have a drink.
I can imagine you do. So in that case, let's slowly but surely make our way to the Final Word Hall of Fame, which of course is brought to you by Noobru, the thing to drink. As I bring up my notes, because I've had my phone doing other things in the last 20 minutes, so I'm not going to be able to reach it as quickly as I normally would. Of course, the various advantages of nootropics and what they have inside Noobru and do for you. But of course, that Kohli bat giveaway. There'll be a lot of people watching this, Indian fans today, I'm sure. If you've not picked up the news, we're giving away a Virat Kohli Genius King bat. Hope I've got the nomenclature right there. Yes, Genius King cricket bat, gloves and a case. It's all over our social media feeds. And Noobru, Noobru.com, Noobru.com/final word, all over their feeds as well. Simply done. You go in, you buy yourself one of the Noobru products in the cricket collection, in which case we should move to the Final Word Hall of Fame. And en route to that, we will tell you about Noobru, Noobro, Noobru. B-R-U, you think I know that by now.
Yeah, I would
I've
have
been
thought
talking
so.
about it for an entire series. And obviously at the moment we're in the middle of their bat giveaway. If you're an Indian fan living in the UK who's watching the Final Word for the first time, this will be new to you. So we'll tell you all about it. We're giving away a brand spanking new Virat Kohli Genius King cricket bat, gloves, and a leather case. Leather case. I've never had a leather case for a cricket bat.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. Plus a year's supply of Noobru Pro, which is the stuff you take before you play. I had a Noobru Advantage this morning. I had a Noobru Pro before I bowled yesterday. Coming out well, Daniel. Correlation, causation.
Again, this is getting great.
It's working well.
It's actually becoming a bit spooky.
Oh, yeah. Since I've started downing Noobru Pro before playing games of cricket, I don't think it's gone poorly yet.
Just wickets galore.
Wickets galore. 63 for the season. Now we keep on pushing.
Wow.
To enter, noobru.com/finalword. Now, what you do when you get there, there's a cricket collection on the website. You pick any of them. You're already getting a 15% discount because you're one of us. You're a Final Word listener. 15% off the Think Drink. In the collection there, a range of things which you'll enjoy. That includes Advantage. Now, the Noobru Advantage cricket comes in Perfectly Peach, Cherry Surge, or Pineapple Crush.
Love the cherry. Love the cherry.
I've been drinking the Pineapple Crush.
Really, yeah.
It's brilliant. It's in my. I've got
With the
loads
totally
of the stuff.
tropical taste.
Loads of the stuff. It's a natural drink containing 12 clinically proven ingredients to support your brain's health, performance, and mood. So it can intensify your focus and it can master your tasks the way that I sometimes find it hard to do. Why did I leave the house 3 times this morning before having everything in my bag?
You didn't have a Noobru.
Didn't have a Noobru. Had I had a Noobru Advantage beforehand, I would have been firing on all cylinders. That's what we reckon.
Yeah.
That's what we know from the ingredients in the drink. I must tell you that the Noobru Virat Kohli Genius Back giveaway in gloves is for UK residents 18 plus, only runs until the time the draw is done. That's going to be when you play me at, I've got an announcement on that. We play each other at Wormsley in our game on the 18th of August. 18th of August, who's going to, Ben Jones is going to be there. He's putting his hand up. Jones is going to be there.
All right, Jody.
And as much as I love Ben dearly, like a brother, a man I love like an uncle is going to be there as well. Jeremy Vernon Coney.
Yes.
He's volunteered to umpire. He's still got a problematic hip from his surgery earlier this year when he had it replaced, so he can't bat.
No, he doesn't want to bat.
But boy, oh boy, can Jeremy umpire. I've played games when Jeremy's officiated before.
Yes, he said he's very excited if the ball hits my pads.
Yes, I'm sure he does. So qualifying purchases and entries automatically. Different products earn different entry amounts. No purchase necessary. Each postal entry equals 1 entry. Multiple entries permitted. Full T's and C's at noobru.com/finalword. So noobru.com/finalword. Buy, into the draw, pulled out. Come to Wormsley on the 18th as we raise money for the Lord's Taverns. It's going to be magnificent. We'll be back in a moment to do the final word, Hall of Fame, and wrap up the show. Adam Collins and Daniel Norcross with you on the Final Word Daily. Very, very quickly on the way through here. We had great response to our NordVPN chat the other day, Daniel. Daniel trying to verify that he's 18. Needing to verify that he's 18. Thanks to Keir Starmer, Daniel, to do everything he needs to do on the internet, needs to verify that he's a 56-year-old man. That's all fun for me. 30-day money-back guarantee. Links in the show notes. Easy to use. Connect with 1 click or connect with 0-click protection. 8,100 servers, 126 countries. I'm going to Spain tomorrow. The first thing I do with my 2 children will be activating the NordVPN on my phone, on my iPad, on my computer. Why is that? The girls need to watch telly. We're going on bloody holiday. They're too young to put them in the pool the whole day.
Bluey doesn't watch itself.
Doesn't watch itself. It is in Spanish, but they've got no interest in watching Bluey in Spanish. NordVPN.com/TFW. That gets you everything you need. This is the time of year to have a VPN, and it's the right time in global history owing to what's going on over here in the UK at the moment. Get yourself a VPN. Daniel, your Hall of Fame noms before we wrap up the show.
It's the whole bloody day, isn't it, really? I think it's hard to look beyond Woakes walking down and out and then running. That was kind of amazing. Atkinson's 6 that sort of felt like it came from nowhere and utterly scrambled Shubman Gill's brain and changed the way the game was going to be played for that next bit. The fact that rain fell at some point and we thought, oh no, they're going to go off again. You could see the water glistening on the helmets of the batters. But look, ultimately, come on, you can't look beyond the Brummie Botham, the wizard that is Woakes, coming out and batting. It could only have been better if he'd faced the ball. But
it would have been, I was egging that on. I'm like, I want to see this.
Just want to see how it works.
Yeah, it's not like Malcolm Marshall batting with one hand because he was able to have the hand in the cast and swing with his bottom hand. This would have been an altogether different proposition. I've got one for you. It's the Daniel Norcross LBW rule.
Yes.
Now, this could have been a thing. So Josh Tongue given out leg before, absolute howler.
Terrible decision.
Howler.
This Hassan Raza hadn't given a decision all series, and then he gives one that was completely ludicrous.
Wasn't hitting a second set. Anyway, that ball ran away for a couple of leg byes, but the ball is dead the moment that it's given leg before. To clarify, that means the runs weren't added.
Yeah.
And to be really clear about this, mark our words. One day, a World Cup final will be decided this way, where the leg byes aren't credited on a leg before that is given out and then overturned on review. If they don't fix it the way Daniel recommends, simply...
Well, you simply don't give it out until the ball is dead.
Until the leg byes have been
completed. The leg byes have been completed, and then you give it or don't give it.
It's one small tweak. It'll be uncomfortable when they bring it in. It'll look a bit silly to start, but give me one small uncomfortable tweak instead of
'Cause
what's
it-
likely to be
'cause
something that almost certainly will decide a World Cup final one
It
day.
could have mattered today, couldn't it? I mean,
it could
6 runs
absolutely
between the
matter.
two teams. There were 6 runs
Well,
between
I
them.
mean, you can even, if you wanted to, counterfactual here to a certain extent, but
Yeah.
it would have been 5 runs to win, it would have been 1-6 to win, it wouldn't have been 1-6 to tie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
A 4 to tie as
4
well.
to tie, yeah, all of those things. Anyway, it didn't matter in the end because India did the business, but it is something to consider for ICC decision makers in the future. That's my Hall of Fame, thanks to Noobru. Nothing in the bottle because I drank it all earlier, and that's us done for the series.
is.
It isn't, technically speaking, our last ep on the series. You'll be with Jeffrey Lemon, as David Warner once called him, tomorrow. You'll be doing the wrap-up episode, you know, because Anachi's been down at the press conference. There will be things to talk about. I saw Brendan McCullum interviewed on Sky. There will be things to talk about. And there will be revelry for Indian fans across the nation, for they have tied this series in spectacular circumstances, winning by 6 runs. Parting thoughts?
I've absolutely bloody loved it.
Yeah.
It has been... So, I mean, look, the Ashes series 2 years ago was bloody brilliant. This has been bloody brilliant. I'm not going to say which one's better. I'm not sure I can. I think the pitch has nearly defeated the entertainment on occasion, but somehow the players have risen above that, and fair play to them for doing it, because it must be bloody exhausting doing that. It was bloody exhausting commentating it, bloody exhausting potting it, but bloody hell, if you'd had to play in it, hats off.
The third-
Extraordinary.
Yeah, the third 2-2 series in England in the last 6 years and the fourth in the last 10.
Yeah.
So, you know, 2-2 series, a Desmond.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for that. Adam Collins and Daniel Norcross have been with you, and others through the series as well. There's been Jeff periodically, there's been tons from Cam Ponsonby and tons from Ben Jones, and there would have been other people chipping in at different points as well, I'm fairly certain, although I think I've captured everyone.
I think you have.
And we will do the wrap-up tomorrow, and we'll love you for it. Stick with us, subscribe, share. Look at the photo I took of the last wicket if you want to see a really nice moment.
Can I do that in the pub?
You can do that in the pub. We're going to go there now. Catch you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.